Are we on? Yes.
Yes.
I thought it was.
It says starting soon.
Oh, mine too.
Oh, my goodness. One of those days, isn't it? All right. That's all right. That's all right. Welcome, everybody. We are a little bit early here as far as the way that the show opened up. So I want to thank you. And no, you're not on the wrong show. This is Sisters of the Mystical Tarot. And my name is Aley. And Marina is with me here. And we have Scott, Scorpio, Sun, Tarot with us today. And he's an official sister. He said anytime that we're getting together, he would love to come. And so we are happy to have him with us today.
Yeah.
So thank you, Scott.
Thank you. I feel honored to be I feel honored to be a sister for the day. So
well, very good. Very good. Well, we're honored to have you
glad
here.
to have you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So our Val is vacationing in a warm spot. And our Shari is just not feeling well today. And I totally understand that because I haven't felt well myself for a few days. And so we're letting her take a break. And we were thrilled. I asked Scott beforehand, so I'm glad I did, because this kind of gives us the opportunity to have some fun. And our topic today is going to be the imposter syndrome. And we were just talking about it a little bit backstage, and we're talking about the fact that it is it's a problem we have with our own self-sabotage in a lot of ways. But I think it's the expectations that we worry people will put on us, that we be this, perfect reader, perfect employee, perfect teacher, perfect whatever. And we think, oh, how can I live up to that? How can I live up to that? Because I'm not as good as this one, or I'm not as good as that one. And so I think we all go through this, and we go through it more than one time in our lives. It can happen anytime we're making a shift, or we're working on something new, and we're a little green on exactly how that looks or works. So we're going to have that conversation today. So very good. So I want to say hello to some folks that are here. And no, we don't do readings on this show, just in case anybody wondered. We are working mostly with the topic, but we want to hear all about it if you have something to say. So hello, Maureen and Ginny and Tapioca Thievery, Carolyn Loving Life, Jackie Jacaranda. Thanks for being a good support person, Jackie. Lisa, Charlie Sage of Fire, Sarah's here, Diana's here, and Linda Bishop is here. And we have Rich Lean, nice to see you. And who else snuck in the back door? Whoops.
Oh,
Wisconsin.
Anya. Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah is here from Hibiscus Healing.
Yeah.
And Anya. And
Wiz Lightkeeper.
Yeah, it's Wisconsin Lighthouse Keeper. Yeah. Yeah, thank
Carolyn
you.
Loving Life. These fabulous people that are here.
Everybody.
Thanks for joining us. And look at right away. She says imposter syndrome is a big issue for women in STEM, which would be science, technology, engineering, and math. And I can see why that's the case, because women are supposed to be good at like English and history. And men are, the old stereotypical thing, but that doesn't mean that that's true. But I can imagine that it probably does occur. So thank you for that comment. Very much so.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. So the imposter syndrome is the inner experience of feeling like a fraud and believing you don't truly deserve your achievements, and that sooner or later, somebody's going to find out. It is common, especially among thoughtful, high-achieving, spiritually reflective, or socially aware people. In other words, all of us. have gone through this at some point or another. So I have some interesting facts that I want to bring up, but I'm going to just let Marina do a little bit of chit chat on this and tell us a little bit about her experience with this in her life.
Thank you. Yeah. Imposter syndrome really kind of reared its ugly head as I started to do tarot readings, because I was listening to other people and seeing the way that they were reading and the information that they brought forward, and it seemed like, oh my God, there wasn't anything that they didn't know about tarot. And here I am, and I'm looking at the card, and it's okay, the Six of Swords. Yeah, what does that mean? Hold on now. So putting a lot of pressure on myself. And it wasn't until, I realized that, you know, I liken it to cooking or baking. Everyone has a recipe, but everyone puts their own little thing into the recipe. It still comes out the same. It still tastes really good, but you've substituted something for something that fits your personality or your particular taste a little better. When I make bread pudding, I tend to add a little more raisins because they happen to like raisins. So it's that kind of thing. So that was eye-opening to realize that I didn't have to worry about, I didn't have to give in to that imposter syndrome. I could recognize it as being something that that I was going through, and that what was important for me was to have faith in the messages that I was receiving and to have faith in myself. And more than anything else, to get out of my own way. It didn't need to make sense to me. It needed to make sense to the person I was reading for.
Yeah.
And that really kind of helped get over it. But yeah, I think everybody goes through that at some point where, you think, oh yeah, I'm going to read for this person, and when I'm done, they're going to look at me and they're going to say, "You're still full of shite. It's not even funny." Everything that you said, no, none of it makes any sense, and I want my money back.
I totally get it. I totally get it. It reminds me, if you watch John Edward when he's on the stage and he'll say somebody over here, and then he'll say Uncle John, and he'll say something, and they'll go, nope, nope, nope. And then they go home. And then they go, oh, Uncle John, da da da. And like they have amnesia. It's like the people have amnesia. And John Edward knows that will happen. He also says that he doesn't like people who hijack a soul that comes through either. It sort of fits, but it doesn't really fit. And don't hijack that person because it belongs to somebody else that's coming through. So yeah. So Scott, before you came on as a tarot reader, were you a little nervous about the same thing like Marina was saying, or?
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah. So
okay.
When I started, I just didn't feel that I was good enough. And that goes back, way into my childhood. And I had to do some shadow work on that. And the first collab that I did, or first live that I did, was with Gerald Tarot Stash. And he was wonderful. He was just nice and made me feel at ease. But I tell you what, when I got done with that, I watched it back, and I literally had my blanket over my head and was cringing and holding it like this and thinking, I'm horrible. This is horrible. This is horrible. I don't have any reason to be online. No one's going to want to listen to me. And, that comes from a long childhood, situation.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
No, I
I
get it.
definitely experienced it. And I think that it's probably more common in women, but I also think that it would probably be, common in gay men as well.
It could be.
Because they feel like, and I know I felt like I was never good enough to go play with the boys. I was never good enough to go play kickball or do things,
Mhm.
football, things like that,
Uh-huh.
and yeah,
Wow.
it just
Yeah.
became a sense of failure. And when you said, that it's like self-sabotage, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I used to do that
Yeah.
all the time. So it's probably something that we all, you know, have and don't even realize that we're doing it.
No, you're
Mhm.
absolutely right, Scott. And so you were sort of, I would imagine that it's like battling two things at once. I know that sometimes there are gay men that are also Black or African American or Asian,
Yeah.
and people have a prejudice against that and the fact that they're gay. So they got these two battles going on. And
Right.
the fact that you felt sort of like too not asked to play with the boys and didn't want to necessarily always play with the girls, that had to have been a very difficult thing to maneuver as a child.
Well, I
So,
did want to play with the girls,
oh, you
but
did.
I
Oh,
was not
right.
allowed. I was not allowed when I
Oh,
was early.
oh,
Yeah, my
uh-huh.
mom did not. She was very strict Baptist at the time, and
Okay,
that wasn't acceptable.
I get you.
So
No, I get you.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that ties in to it as well, but
I'm
it
sure
was
it didn't help
social.
your confidence. Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was social
yeah,
norms that were being
sure.
placed
Uh-huh.
upon all of us, that the boys should play with the boys, the girls should play with the girls, and
Right.
they
Yes.
didn't integrate. So I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm off topic there, but
No,
yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
everyone has a different experience for different reasons. Although this
Right.
is very, very common for most of us, but we may just have a different reason why it's common for us. That's all. So yeah, of
That
course.
makes sense. Yeah.
Your Mary Thornberry says you're a very good reader and your delivery is gentle.
Oh,
And
thank
Yeah.
you.
Artist Liz says you have such kind and calm energy.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes.
And Diane, I'm glad we were talking about the fact that speaking to this topic was important, and this is one of the things I really love about not only our shows here on Sisters, but the chat and how people interact with us about the topics. And so, thanks everybody, and hello Pierrette, hello White Dragon. Um,
Yeah.
Anybody else that happened to come in? I guess Mary and Garnet came in when we were doing something.
Yes.
Yeah, it does
And
make total sense, Scott, according to
Garnet
you.
said we can all be our own worst enemy. And I think
Yes.
that's something that has to do with it, because
It
that's a
does.
form of self-sabotage too.
Uh-huh. No.
Yes.
I also love this, what Jackie said. She's good at procrastination, and it's probably some imposter syndrome feelings going back to childhood. Yeah, if you don't feel good enough, then you don't want to jump into something. So you kind of put it off and put it off, and maybe you don't have to do it. And so
Exactly.
could be part of that imposter syndrome as well. So yes, hi Mary.
Exactly. And one of the other ways that we are our own worst enemy is we will deliver a message and it's like, well, I don't know if that's going to make any sense to you. It may not mean, it probably doesn't mean anything to you because, I don't know. Um,
Uh-huh.
and that is it's that part of us that wants to protect us from either from judgment or from someone speak either against us or what it is that we're doing or whatnot. So it's
Hmm.
by lessening what it is that we do, we kind of take the sting out of what someone might say.
True.
Well, if someone was to say, no, that didn't make any sense, and you're totally wrong about that. Yeah, well, like I said, it was just a guess, right?
Yeah.
So I was,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah,
I
that's
get you.
part of the self-sabotage too.
It
When
is.
very often, I think we know what we're telling. We know that there is truth behind what we're doing.
Right.
And if it doesn't resonate with you right now, it doesn't mean we're wrong. It just means it's not resonating with you right now.
Or
Give
you're
it a
not
while.
recognizing it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So I think the thing that really hit me right between the eyes was, I would say this was back around 2019, 2020, when, you know, Facebook started in with all the horrible, you know, things said to people. And one of the things, I had written something and somebody wrote, "Who the hell are you? You need to go educate yourself, lady. You are dumb and you're this and that." And I held everything back because I wanted to say, I have 24 years of education. It's like,
Right.
you know, and yet I thought to myself, you know, I don't need to say a freaking word about it because it doesn't really matter, number one, but you're not going to believe me,
Right.
number two, and I don't have to die on that hill. I don't have to deal with that. But, you know, this is the way people like to undercut other people. We get that an awful lot as well in our lives. So it's pretty interesting.
I think that what you're talking about, Aley, is that saying that it says what other people think about me is none of my business.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're right, Scott.
Right.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And that's
because you
absolutely
can
true.
self-sabotage yourself by taking in the feelings and the perception you're getting from other people who are saying other stuff that might not be true, and you start thinking that it is true.
That's right. Yes. Oh, gee, they think this way. I must not be presenting myself correctly. I'm too stupid to do it correctly, or whatever it is that you might think after somebody criticizes you. Yeah, that's a great point, Scott. Yeah. Yep.
And like the saying goes, you know what? Opinions are like a-holes. Everyone has one.
Everyone has
right.
one. Yeah.
Everyone has one.
That's very true. Here are some ways that you can also relate to the imposter syndrome, everybody. The first one is, oh, I just got lucky. I just got lucky. I was in the right place, you know, I've had people say to me, I really like your shirt. And I'll say, well, thank you. I got it for like $5.99. And I'm only telling them that because I'm excited about it. You know, it's not that you know, and they'll go, why did you say that? Why didn't you just say, oh, thank you? And I thought, okay, because there are some people that actually, you know, they double guess why you're doing and saying something. The other thing that we might hear is, oh, I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to do it, but I don't, you're probably better than I am about this. You've had more experience. You understand this more, that kind of thing. And I think that's where the readings come in. And as you know, both of you being readers as well, your reading has gotten better and better and better over the years. You didn't start out maybe the strongest, but you built on that, you built on that, you built on that. And you've got a following of people who really want to listen to what you have to say. So how could that be an imposter? No one would be watching you if they believed that. Everyone else is more qualified. There's another one. A fear of being exposed as an incompetent. And this is where I've had some imposter syndrome come through. And I'll be at a faculty meeting. And because I'm not a full-time faculty, I'm just one of those throwaway sort of people. And anything that I have to say isn't really legit because I'm just a part-time person. I don't feel that way in the classroom ever. And just before I left one of my colleges, I let the dean know exactly what it felt like to be ignored. Because what they'll do is they'll listen to what you have to say and then they'll turn to somebody else. They won't acknowledge it. They won't say anything about it. It's pretty weird. It's really quite weird. Discounting your success, overworking to prove worth, or procrastinating out of fear. And there you go, Jackie. Yeah. So you can overwork or you can procrastinate. It could be two sides of one coin. But yeah. Any of those sound familiar to you guys?
I know the procrastination does for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so definitely.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
yeah, it has
And
most of my life. Yeah.
uh-huh.
and the idea of it not being good enough. Um, and that was something that was kind of it was difficult to deal with, but once I dealt with it, it just opened up so many other things.
Yeah.
And that was um, knowing that I had a gift and not knowing exactly what to do with it, especially in my younger days.
Uh-huh.
Um, it always felt like, and especially when I was first married, um, when my ex would say, "Well, there's something's going on at work. Are you getting anything? Are you picking anything up?"
Uh,
And so I'd tell him what it was that I was sensing, what I was getting, and he'd say, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah." And then around family or friends or other people, he'd say, "Oh, be careful, she's a witch. She's a witch." And
oh.
so there was
Mhm.
always that association that what I was doing was something that was somehow harmful.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I suppressed it for a good long time, um, until I got back into it and changed the thought, changed the feeling around it so that
Yeah.
now when someone says, "Oh, be careful, she's a witch," I say, "Yes, I am. You don't know what I'm likely to do next."
You owned it,
So
Marina.
Right.
You owned it. Yeah.
yes,
Love
yeah,
it.
it's a badge of honor rather than something that's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and even on the job, when you start off a new job, there are always those people who have been there for ages
Mm-hmm.
and ages and ages. Of course, they know more than you. Of course, they do. They've grown with the company. They, they probably developed some of the concepts that you're trying to learn and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't compare yourself to, to someone who's been at the company for 20 years.
Right.
What you can do is hope that, hey, maybe we can be friends and maybe you can mentor me, help me understand what it is that you do and that kind of stuff. But it's normal. It's natural. Yeah.
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 That's very
Yeah.
true. That's very true. Maureen, this is the type of speak that creates this problem, which is
Yes.
being told that you'd
Yeah.
never amount to anything. That's a horrible thing to tell anyone. I
Yes.
I'm so sad that they did that to you, but it did apparently charge you up enough to say, just watch me.
Yeah.
And I love that, but it shouldn't be the reason why you had to do that either. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and Cheryl said my ex would say that about his mom. She's a witch, and I've heard that all my life. So it gives
Uh-huh.
it a negative connotation. Like Marina says, you start feeling, like you're inferior to other people because it's used in an inferior type of way to
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
make someone look negative.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You're right. You're absolutely right. Um,
And don't forget,
compliments
many of us have had lifetimes where we have been persecuted for being witches,
for being
where
woohoo.
we
Right.
Yep.
have been hunted
Yep.
down. And so, that there are some past life memories that come with that you can say,
Yep.
yeah, okay, well, that was then, this is now. This is
So
now.
here's
Yeah.
a
Right.
question for you, Scott. How do you feel about compliments? Are they easy to accept?
They didn't used to be. Now I'm okay with them, and
That's good. Yeah.
I think that was just through doing self study on it and just
Mm-hmm.
realizing that it's okay to take a compliment and say, okay, thank you. And really,
Yeah.
say that is a part of me. It is okay for me to be
Good.
happy with who I am and others to see it. instead of thinking that they're going to put me down and make me feel inferior or negative.
Yeah.
It's it's a good thing to take compliments instead, and I think it's more important to take compliments than to take the negative.
Oh yeah, it is definitely.
And,
because when people say something to you that is complimentary, they really want to offer you their full support in a lot of ways. And if they're criticizing you, there's some jealousy there, I think, or there's some other mechanism that that they're coming out with. So, but it is hard for people to accept compliments at times. It's like, that's where somebody said that the imposter syndrome, somebody said something good and then you go, oh no, I just got lucky. No, you know, that's taking that and throwing it away. And that's awesome.
I just realized I do this at times myself, even now when I'm doing readings for people and there's people in the chat and they'll be like, Scott, such beautiful readings. And I'm like, oh, it's the cards. It's the cards.
Well, you know what though, Scott? We've been through that too. Anytime that something comes through us, we're sort of channeling the universe, you know? But somebody has to interpret those cards.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah. Because I could just hold a card up and say, yep, you got this, and then you got this. So we have to learn how to say thank you. I got the messages really well from my guides, whatever, you know. And then you're giving that compliment to both of you in a way. So I love that. I love that. Let's see. When you're around psychics and light workers, your energy and psychic abilities, they do. They absolutely do. When you're in a synergy with a group, if you're doing readings or even having this conversation, there's an empowerment that happens as a group that provides a real use of good energy and synergy that works together. So, yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Positivity grows. And we feed off of each other and we feed each other. So it's like, it just magnifies.
So, it does. So Garnet, I want to make sure that I'm getting this right. Sometimes you feel incompetent with people that are in some kind of position of power. Is that what it is? Because of some persistian, I'm thinking it's supposed to be position, but
I think it might be too.
Yeah. So just let me know if I'm on the mark. I think I am, but okay. Let's see what you got down here. I will say that I sometimes feel like an imposter in that position. I remember a man coming into the office where I worked with Keith, and I was a part-time teacher, and he taught at Harvard. And my husband says to me, oh, look, it's a colleague of yours. This guy is a colleague of yours. He does the same thing you do. And I thought, no, he doesn't. He's brilliant. He works at Harvard, you know. And I felt and I said, don't do that ever again. It bothered me because I'm a community college part-time teacher, and he's like this PhD in electrical engineering or some other Harvard position. And in that case, I felt more like he was making me an imposter, not me making myself an imposter. So, yeah.
Yes. And there are sometimes, Garnet, there are people who are in a position of authority who can make you feel like you're incompetent. And it has nothing to do with the fact that you're incompetent. It's generally, I find it's their inability to recognize good or solid information when it comes in, or to recognize that, I may have the title, but that doesn't mean that I know everything about this particular position or subject or something else. So when someone shares something with me, in that case, that I don't understand, rather than say, oh, that's interesting, I don't understand, can you explain more? it's like, yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I can't believe you even brought that up. That,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it
Yeah.
discounts you unfairly.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. And sometimes we put ourselves in that position, but a lot of times we just sort of fall into that position. It isn't like something we initially put ourselves into. So Judith has an interesting thing here. She says mental and emotional manipulation is done from a weak, low vibrational person. Yes,
Ooh, I like that.
I agree with you. It says that sometimes psychological roots also come from perfectionism. If we're like, well, I'm a really good card reader, but not as good as this one who's been doing it 35 years, and I'm just not perfect at it yet. It's okay to be humble about it, but just because someone's been doing it for 35 years and you haven't doesn't mean that you're any better than each other, really. You just have more experience. And, I think that's important to share. Constant comparison also erodes inner authority. And we've dealt with that here. We've dealt with it as a subject on this show before, that we can give a reading and then someone will say, well, that's fine, but Sterling said this, and Linda said this, and so-and-so said this. And I don't think it's meant to be mean, but it's almost discounting what we have said.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's important to pass that along. And Scott, yours shows up as early conditioning. Your praise was tied to performance, or if you may be making a mistake about something. Did you ever have a situation where a teacher asked you a question and you answered it and it wasn't correct and they, no, that's wrong?
Oh yeah, all the time, all the time, and that's why I would sit and try to be behind people so they wouldn't pick me.
Yes.
And if they did pick me, my face would just turn red. I'm like, I'm not, I'm not
Yes.
able to say the right thing or to say what they want me to, what they want to hear. It's going to be, it's going to be looked down upon. People are going to laugh at me. That happened a lot in school.
Sure.
And I think this has a lot to do with, bullying and children. So I think children can have this as well.
Definitely.
And then they can take
Absolutely.
it with them through their life. And if you don't heal it, it becomes like me, and you realize that you have it some even now. And I was telling Marina and Aley, I'll just be open, I was Aley told me the definitions of imposter syndrome because I have heard of it, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And I told Jackie, and I said, Jackie, I don't know if I should be doing this because I'm not sure what this is exactly. And she said, yeah, you do, because you're doing it right now. She said, you sound like somebody who has this. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I am qualified to talk about it.
Yes.
And that's why I'm here.
Yeah. And the first thing I said to Scott is, we've all had it. We've all,
Yes.
And you get
us
stuff
have
in
been.
your head, and it just, you have to take that out of the equation and know that you are good enough.
That's right. That's right. And the marginalization, being underrepresented or underestimated, can also internalize a doubt. So if a teacher says to you, and this is why when I teach in person, I'm very careful. I'll say, does anybody have the answer to this? And then I'll say, it's okay if it's wrong, but at least you're trying. And so when somebody says it and it isn't wrong, I will say, good effort, excellent, because it is. Someone's brave enough to say it, But if we internalize the fact that we're never going to be any good or in math, or we're never going to be any good in social studies or whatever it is, that we will hide behind the person in front of us. And we have every right to, because we don't feel like we're really being heard, and we don't feel like we have the knowledge either. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that very, very often it can be a little more difficult for women because we have been and I'm glad to see that this is changing with the younger generations. I'm noticing that the girls and the young women are not falling for it as much as we did. The idea that if you're um, if you're kind of good at something, that the last thing that you want is to bring attention to yourself. That's unseemly. Girls, young ladies don't do that. You don't take that in, right? If someone compliments you, you don't want to let it get to your head. So, you diminish it as much as you can by saying, "Oh, thank you. This whole thing. Oh, I've had this forever." Rather than just, with all joy saying, "Phew,
Uh-huh.
right?"
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm glad to see that the generation that is coming up, a couple of them, the girls don't seem to have that problem, and I think that is just absolutely fabulous. That
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
when
really
you
is.
ask them their opinion, they're willing to share it, and they're not apologizing for it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
absolutely true. Um,
yeah.
so imposter syndrome in its shadow sense is a disconnection from our inner authority. And when we get to a certain age, I mean, we depend upon our parents for so long over a period of time, and we don't take our full authority. I didn't even when I had my first daughter, I did not take my full authority. I always thought my mother knew more than I did and that I was unqualified. I was the imposter mother. And the truth is that I have to learn, as Jackie said, first attempt is learning, and I have to fail in order to learn. And I wasn't quite allowed to move into that mother role, but then I gave it up, so to speak. I just let her take care of it. And that was not a good decision on my part, because what I did was I disconnected from my own inner authority. And once I realized that, I was okay. I brought that authority back and took that authority back. But I think a lot of that has to do with whatever maturity that we're going through at the time and how fast we mature or to make a decision about something. Also, the part of the psyche that's learned safety through invisibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about, Scott. Definitely.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the shadow of I am not enough. I'll never be
Yes.
enough. Whatever I did. Have you heard in the past people say, I always want my father to be proud of me. I'm never enough. I'm never enough for my dad. And I need him to be proud of me. No, you don't. You need to be proud of yourself.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
But we think in order to be proud of ourselves, we need to have someone else to be proud of us.
To validate it. Yeah.
To validate it.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's right, Scott. Absolutely. The tension between soul knowing, intuition, and ego fear of visibility. I love that because we have to go between 3D and 5D or whatever it is all the time. And I don't think we're taught any of this stuff. We're taught actually, maybe more so now, Marina, as you bring up, but I don't think many of us were taught this in our time periods.
Oh,
And we've had to sort of like a fish out of water, try to figure it all out. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There was a sign or plaque or something that I saw the other day, and I thought it was really interesting. And it said, behind every strong woman was behind every strong woman was a situation that gave her no choice.
You
And
could
I
say that
thought,
even about
yes,
people. Yeah, you could. Just
yes,
people in general. Yeah.
absolutely. That you're, yeah,
Yeah.
you kind of you grow into it. So
Yeah.
yeah, we weren't afforded a lot a lot of that, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
yeah, like you said, the invisibility that goes back thousands of years, and where our survival depended on where we fit in the tribe, what we contributed to the tribe, what we took away from the tribe.
Sure.
So, you know,
Yeah.
you dismiss things, you don't want to bring attention to yourself because it comes with responsibility.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
And I think Scott can speak to that in his life because of what he said earlier, which is you can't let anybody know that you're gay because you're Baptist too. And because, and you know what I mean? That whole thing. So you have to be quiet. You can't live a life that you'd like to live, whatever way, you know, which doesn't have to be decadent. It's just, you can say who you are. You can be who you are anywhere you want to go.
Yeah, it was so freeing to realize that, you know, what I had been taught was not what I really felt. It was not
Right.
what I had experienced. And, you know, to go and be free, you know, rather than, you know, homosexuality when I was growing up was right up there with murder.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right up there with murder. And everybody thought that way, and it was something that you got teased about, etc., like I was saying before. But you know, it's hard to get out of that mindset when you're taught that, when you're, you know, that, and it can be, you know, being a girl too, and being taught that, you know, from a father, or it could even be a mother, that, you know, you're not good enough. You're not as good as your brother, or you're not as good as this you know, male over here. So you need to, you know, make sure you're taking the home economics classes, and, you know, doing things like that. You can't, you know, be someone, you know, important in that field, because, you know, you're just not good enough.
Either that, or you know, you wanted to take a cooking class in home economics, and they're like, what? Why would you want to do that? And the same way was with girls that wanted to do shop.
Yes,
just
exactly.
they were interested in, you know, and and that's very
I
true.
remember when my son was about a year and a half old, and we're going back 40 some years. And for Christmas, one of the things that he really liked to do was he liked to be in the kitchen, especially with my mother, and they would cook together, right? She would, when she made coffee, she would let him push the button on the grinder and that kind of stuff. So for Christmas, I had bought him a little kitchen set, right? It had dishes, pots, and pans. And my dad, who was in it, didn't have a mean bone in his body, said, "You're not seriously going to give that to him, are you?" And I said, "Yeah, I am. Why not?"
Yeah.
But Rena, that's for girls.
That's for girls, exactly. Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, but you know what? Doesn't he like to do that with his grandmother in the kitchen and whatnot?" And you know, we kind of had a discussion, and it was like, "Oh, well, yeah, okay." But initially, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That's a toy for girls.
Yeah.
He
There
needs
used to be that strict division of, I mean, maybe there is in some homes still, but there was always that division that, you know, you would never get a boy toy or a girl toy if you were the opposite sex.
You know, you were talking about how, you know, when you were younger, and, you know, you asked me if I was, you know, playing with, you know, the girls or boys, and that came up. It's funny because what I remember is I wanted to play with the girls, but I was literally separated when I was in kindergarten. I remember that day. I remember that very vividly, and wanting to play with the girls, and they were like, "You'll be the daddy," and I'll be like, okay. And I would, and no, the teacher was just furious about it and picked me up, literally picked me up and sat me down with the boys and said, you play with the cars.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the kind of mindset that these people have, well, right here, this is where I grew up and not, and it hasn't changed much. So it's, yeah, I don't know if that has a lot to do with it, but it gets in your head.
Yeah, it becomes part of the truth that you have to live is what it does. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's not right, is it, Richleen? Not at all.
No.
No,
it's one of the things that I really admire about the native culture is the fact that in a lot of native cultures, homosexuality is something that is viewed as something positive. That a man who is feminine he's in touch with the feminine side of things, and the woman is in touch with the warrior side of things, and it makes them important members of the community, someone that you want to consult because they're seen as being whole rather than just one part of either male or
more
female.
balanced. Right.
Yes, very, very balanced. And I thought that was just such a beautiful way to look at it because it takes so much of the judgment away that if you're gay, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
The universe doesn't make mistakes.
That's right.
Right? Everyone is created the way that they are for a reason. There are no mistakes. There is nothing that needs to be fixed. It's it's what our definition of those things is and the importance that we put on it. And that's a human construct. That's not a universal construct. So
that's very true. That's very true. And I agree with you, Cheryl, that it used to be the same thing. This, sounds silly, but if you were left-handed, you were made to write with your right hand. You couldn't write with your left hand. They wouldn't allow it. And so they saw you with your right hand, they would hit you with a ruler or something to stop you and say, no, you can't do that. You have to write with your right hand. Now, by the time you got to school, Scott, maybe they weren't that strict anymore because I'm a lot older than you. But at the same time, this doesn't conform in our society. So you're going to conform to what we want instead of doing what you want. And it breaks us down. It breaks us down as children. It breaks us down as adults because we still hear that message. And so one way you can move past that message is to name the voice that's reminding you of something that perhaps maybe the voice is saying you're not good enough. Or if you had only done this when you were younger, or if you'd only acted like this when you were younger, then you would be okay. It says that is the imposter voice, not your real voice. And I agree with that. That's hearing the old message. And once we take that message and we say, no, I'm not going to, it's none of your business, imposter voice. I can do whatever I damn well please, that it makes a difference, wow, you guys, you're awesome in the chat here.
Diana, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. What is Diana had something earlier?
Yeah, Diana says I wasn't allowed to take drafting in my small Catholic high school. It was the only art form available, and they said you're a girl and you disrupt the class. And MS, I lived up to that.
You did.
I'm not sure what the MS means.
So maybe you did disrupt the class because you were a girl. But remember too, I worked for the office, and I would work during one of my free periods. And so what they would do is they would say, please take this message to room 142 and give it to John Doe, or whatever it was. They would have me running like all over campus. And I remember going to one class, and I was always a fat kid, but I had lost some weight like my freshman, sophomore year. And I was, a better fit for the young girl at the time. And I remember walking into the class with this message, and all of the boys in the class whistling at me.
Yeah.
And, at the time I thought, well, that was kind of complimentary. But now when I realize it, that was very rude. That was so rude.
Yeah.
We were supposed to accept that was acceptable, that men could, if they wolf whistle at you or they like you, then they're going to let you, or they're going to grab you in a certain place. And, these are things we've had to live with for years in our lives. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
All right.
And, right now, my son is a welder. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the people that works with him happens to be a female.
Uh-huh.
She's a welder.
Yeah.
And he said, it's surprising how many job sites they go to where, people will discuss what they need done with him, and Alexa is standing right there. And he'll say, well, tell her.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And they're confused. Is she going to take notes so that she can tell you later? It's like, she's a welder. She's fully capable of doing what you're asking her to do. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or vice versa with a male. I mean, somebody comes into my son used to work in a craft store, and people were afraid to ask him where the yarn was or any of the woman's things. Although now men yarn. I mean, men make things all the time. I know Gerald does. It doesn't really matter who makes it, but if you wanted an airplane person to put a model airplane together, they'd go to my son, whereas they go to the girls for the things, So you liked to garden, and only boys took the horticulture class, and they must have thought it was for farmers only. I took the class and enjoyed it, but the boys didn't like me there. Yeah. Yeah, I understand. At that time, I would imagine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to see that different. Well, we may have less sexism, but the racism is frightening, Kelly said. And the problem is that I thought we were doing really well with all of this. Let's say around the year 2000, and it seems as though we're sort of heading back down that side of the railroad track where, women are they're saying, this man said the other day, and he's a preacher. He said, if a man rapes a woman and I'm on the jury, it depends on what she was wearing. If it was something too short or provocative, then I would let him go, because men are men. I know. And these are the types of people.
Because they have no self-control.
No self-control. Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And yet the woman gets emotional, and there you go. You can't trust a woman to do anything because their emotions, they have no self-control.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
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 I went down to the nursing home where my mom was. Probably it was when Hillary was running against Trump. And did I get that right? It was Hillary and Trump.
You did. 2016. Yeah.
It was right around 2016. And the nurse's aide came in, a female came in, and they started talking. Two of them were there talking politics. Mom, her mind was not the best right then, so she didn't know what they were talking about. But I got really upset because the woman looked down at the other one and she said, well, maybe it's just that a woman shouldn't be a president of the United States. minds.
That's right.
And
They're also
I got furious at that. I didn't say anything because my mom was right there. But, I'm like, people around here really feel that way. They feel that you're not good enough to do something and it has to be a man. It's just
crazy.
Wrong.
It is.
It doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. No. And and a lot of them are still saying it, Scott, that we're not ready. Yeah. We're not ready yet for a woman. She's too emotional or whatever. And that's just so biased. It's just so biased.
It is.
It's yeah. Just like with Pete Buttigieg, I think he would make a fabulous president. I love
me too.
And he's fabulous. But you know what? He's gay, so probably he shouldn't be president either.
And he probably won't be because of that.
Probably. But not for a long time anyway.
Not for a long time. If we keep going, it's like you're saying, when the 2000s, it was getting better.
It was.
And
it seemed to be.
I came out when I was 26, and it was in 1999, so it was right around that time. And I just couldn't believe the difference, when I moved to Florida and how accepted I was. Because I felt like I shouldn't be accepted, as being able to walk down the street with my boyfriend and hold his hand was just liberating to me, because you didn't dare do that. You didn't dare do that in other places and rural places.
No,
because they have this mindset that you have to be a certain type of person, and a man should be masculine.
Yep.
So
So then you don't get to live the life that you want, because someone else sits in judgment of your life. So you have to adjust. You have to hide who you are in order to survive. Where is the satisfaction in that? I just don't understand how people make that correlation. That what difference does it make if someone is gay,
or someone is Muslim, or someone is any number of those things? It
has nothing to do. I want to know what kind of person you are. I really what you do and how you do it doesn't affect me.
Doesn't affect me.
I want to know: are you a nice person? Are you decent? Are you honest?
Yeah.
Are you the kind of person that's going to take care of someone else, and that is going to be helpful? That's what should determine,
some of the things that are coming out right now that we're hearing about are abysmally horrible. I mean, they're beyond comprehension, but people accept that, and they won't accept this.
Yes.
It
doesn't make sense.
No, not at all. Yeah. Absolutely. So we're right nearing the end here, and this has been a great conversation, and I've really enjoyed having you with us, Scott. It's been great.
Thank you.
Imposter syndrome may be a threshold guardian, or us stopping at the gate for ourselves, that we're stepping into a larger role than our old identity can yet contain. So it might be saying, you're not an imposter, but you're working toward this goal. You're working toward this new identity. Give yourself a little bit more time. Don't be harsh on yourself. Know you're in that growing area. And it says, it's not proof that you're fake, that you're doing something fake. It's proof that you are becoming. And I got goosebumps when I read that, because it's like we are consistently becoming something new in life, whatever that might be. If we're going to grow in life, we learn new things, we try new things, we meet new people, we take a class, whatever it is we're doing, we're becoming. And so in between the start and the becoming of something is this period where you might feel like a little bit of an imposter, but honestly, you're not fake at all. You're just becoming something new.
Becoming something different. I love that.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And different is okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Vive la différence.
That's right. That's right.
That's what makes life interesting.
It
you want to have steak for dinner every single night?
Yeah. What if we
Right.
all drove a Volkswagen? I mean, that would be pretty boring. We wouldn't find our car either.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
It is great. Well, I
thank
want to
you.
thank
This
all of
was a
you here.
great topic.
Yeah. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Marina, of course, for being here. And Marina will be she'll be hosting next week. And I want to thank Scott for coming. I have enjoyed this very much, Scott. I hope you you seem to feel comfortable with it once we got going, and you were awesome. Your opinion really, really counts. And so glad I was able to bring you in on a discussion, and we'll do it another time. Yeah.
And it's because it was a lot because of both of you making me feel that comfortability. So feeling comfortable.
Oh, well, that's good, because you're a great guy and we love you. All right, everybody. Yeah. Thank you for being with us.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.